Hello, and a warm welcome to Reddit Echo.
Every region has its local legends. The ghostly hitchhiker, the haunted bridge, the creature in the woods. But what if the legend wasn't a ghost or a monster, but a car? A specific, unassuming vehicle that seems to appear on lonely roads across the country, driven by an intent we can only guess at. This isn't just a campfire story. This is the story of a phenomenon. This is the story of OM. It began in high school around 2007. I had a close friend named Steve. We were freshmen, and our idea of a good time was sharing weird stories we'd heard. One day, Steve told our group about something that had happened to his older brother, Tim, a few years prior. Tim was in college in New Hampshire, a state known for its dense forests and dark winding roads. One night around 2 a.m., Tim and his roommate were hit with a classic college craving, Dunkin' Donuts. The only problem was that the nearest Dunkin' was across state lines. The journey involved taking a narrow two-lane highway that cut through a particularly remote and pitch-black stretch of woodland. Mission accomplished, donuts in hand, they began the drive back. The mood was light, the sugar rush setting in. That's when they noticed the car. It pulled onto the highway in front of them. It was a red compact car, unremarkable except for two things. All its manufacturer's markings and badges had been meticulously scratched off, leaving ghostly outlines on the paint. And the license plate. It was a standard issue plate, but it only had two letters on it, a black O and a green M. OM Steve told us that Tim described a growing sense of unease. Coincidences started to pile up. His cell phone, which had service moments before, suddenly dropped all signal. The jazz station they had on the radio inexplicably started playing Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, which then dissolved into static. Now rationally, these could be written off a dead zone, a weird radio glitch. But in the moment, with that anonymous red car in front of them, it felt like the universe was glitching. Tim, sensing the bad juju, decided to create some distance. He lifted his foot off the gas, expecting OM to speed off into the night. But OM didn't. OM slowed down, perfectly matching their new, slower speed. A knot of cold fear tightened in Tim's stomach. Maybe it was a coincidence. He decided to test it. He pressed the accelerator, speeding up to pass. Instantly, the red compact car surged forward, blocking any attempt to overtake. OM was playing with them. It was a predator, and they were the prey on this lonely, wooded highway. Panic set in. They saw a curve up ahead. The red taillights of OM disappeared around the bend. Seizing the opportunity, Tim slammed on the brakes, bringing their car to a complete stop in the middle of the road. The silence was deafening. Their adrenaline was pumping so hard they could hear their own heartbeats. They sat there for what felt like 20 minutes, frozen in fear, staring at the empty road ahead. Finally, they worked up the courage to move. They crept forward, inching around the curve, hoping against hope that OM was gone. He wasn't. The red compact car was there, waiting. Parked or just idling? It was impossible to tell. It was positioned the exact same distance ahead of them as before, as if no time had passed at all. OM had been waiting. This was no longer a game. It was a hunt. Terrified, Tim and his friend resigned themselves to their fate. They continued driving, following the red car, their headlights illuminating its featureless rear end. After an eternity, they reached a fork in the highway. One road led back toward the lights of their college town. The other veered off deeper into the impenetrable New Hampshire wilderness. As if on cue, their car took the turn for home. And OM? OM continued straight, its red tail lights swallowed by the darkness of the unknown road. They never saw it again. When Steve finished the story, we all laughed it off. A great spooky story, but clearly just that, a story. Even Steve admitted he wasn't sure how much of it was true. We filed it away in our minds as a fun piece of folklore. Then about a year or two later, I was doing homework in my bedroom in suburban Orange County, California. I had the local talk radio on for background noise. A news bulletin cut in. There had been a murder the previous night in a neighboring county. The details were grim. And then, the anchor mentioned a key piece of evidence. A sole witness had seen a car fleeing the scene. They described it as a red compact car, and its license plate had two letters, a black O and a green M. I felt the blood drain from my face. The room spun. Orange County, California? That was over 3,000 miles from the woods of New Hampshire. What the hell was OM doing here? I convinced myself I'd misheard, that my brain was playing tricks on me after remembering Steve's story. The next day at school, I saw Steve. Before I could even speak, he ran up to me, his eyes wide. "You heard it too, right?" he asked. We compared notes. We had both heard the same report. In that moment, we learned two terrifying truths. First, neither of us was crazy, and second, OM was real. But the story doesn't end there. Just a few years ago, another friend of mine, Blake, was driving home from dropping off his girlfriend around 2 a.m. For reasons he still can't explain, he decided to take a highway that winds through a local canyon, a road known for its sharp turns and isolation. As he drove, a car pulled out in front of him. It was a red compact car. As it accelerated, his headlights illuminated the license plate, a black O, a green M. Blake, who knew the legend, felt a primal fear grip him. He immediately slowed down, putting as much distance between himself and the car as possible. OM seemed to allow it. They drove like that, a sinister parade of two, through the winding canyon. When they reached the end, near the mouth of the canyon, OM did something inexplicable. It simply performed a slow, deliberate U-turn and drove back the way it came, disappearing into the dark canyon as if it were returning to its lair. Blake drove home, shaken to his core, the legend of OM now a part of his own personal history. I've posted this story online before, and others have come forward with their own sightings. This thing, this entity, whatever OM is, it's not confined to one state or one coast. Is it a cross-country serial killer using the scratched-off car and cryptic plate to confuse law enforcement across jurisdictions? Is it something else, something we can't even define? I don't know. All I know is the legend is real. And if you're ever on a lonely road late at night and you see a red compact car with a license plate that reads, drive the other way.
Don't want to lose this channel and always be up to date with new videos? Then make sure to subscribe. The story continues, and it's only getting more interesting.